We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. That's right. Welcome back to the final top, this is 10, list of the month. We had the greatness, that was the retro game, 15 retro games. We had the greatness, that was the top 5 indie games. And now we're going to get down to, well, a few honorable mentions, but the top 10 games I played, modern games, in 2023. As always, they can go as far back as the PlayStation 3. But we'll see. A few honorable mentions before we get on with it. Last year, the game was good enough to make the top 10 list, but there were some glitches and some other stuff, so I just couldn't give Pokemon Violet and Scarlet a nod. But the DLC for this year was fantastic, and we'll have to get to the Secrets of Area Zero, or the Hidden Secrets of Area Zero, probably next year. But the Teal Mask was fantastic. The story was fantastic. Didn't have too much trouble getting the 200 Pokemon for that Pokedex, but yeah, it was good. We had actually, I was about halfway through the DLC when my friends were like, "Well, don't use your Pokemon. You're gonna steamroll the DLC, and it won't be as fun." And I'm like, "Okay, that's true." So I started using some Pokemon from the DLC, and then they started coming out with the super high-level trainers that I was barely scraping by against. So, whatever. Anyway, we got the job done. The DLC was fantastic. Check it out. That is the Hidden Secret, Teal Mask for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, or Violet and Scarlet, or whatever. So that's an honorable mention number 1. Next up, we got another honorable mention. We've got One Piece Unlimited Adventure for the Wii. Now, I really like this game, but I realized early on, as you're getting the characters, that they do flashbacks as to how their origin stories and how they're joining the group. So I knew that Frankie was in this, and I knew that that was going to be some spoilers. So I wanted to keep watching the anime, and I had to stop just after starting this. So as soon as I get further in the anime, we're going to continue this journey with the Mugiwara Pirates, or Straw Hat Pirates, and hopefully I'll enjoy the game as much as I did back in August. So that is one more, and then one last honorable mention goes to also One Piece Unlimited World R Deluxe Edition, and this is a graphical improvement over One Piece Unlimited Adventure. But yeah, I mean, the controls were fantastic. Even the first world, it was kind of a spoiler for me because I hadn't seen it, but I didn't really understand what was going on. So I guess when I actually get to that point in the anime, I'll realize what was up. But yeah, it'll be even longer before I can get back to this one. But still, honorable mention for Game of the Year. So that was pretty cool. Now we're getting into our top 10. And represented by The Walking Dead, which were out because of the Games of the Decade video, is The Walking Dead, the final season. I don't think it was as good as the first season, but then again, none of the seasons have been. But it sort of deviates from the traditional, you just play the chapter, get the trophy, boom, platinum. There were branching paths, so you could do something with the choices didn't really matter at the end of the day here, which really pissed me off for the final season, because I think at the end of the game, the options are to shoot Lee or let him turn, and I shot him. And even at the beginning of the game, they let you choose what options you chose or didn't choose. If you had them on or if you played them on previous consoles, the saves didn't transfer to the PS4. And it said I let Lee turn, and many times on stream I'm like, bullshit, I did not let Lee turn. I killed him and respected his wishes, but whatever. That aside, the story was pretty good. Like I said, it was a little bit annoying having to go through and replay the chapters over and over and over again just to get the platinum, but we got all those branching pathways. And yeah, so The Walking Dead, the final season, represented here by the original season, gets my number 10 Game of the Year. Woo! And moving on to number 9, we have a little bit of a surprise here, but Dance Dance Revolution 2. Now, of all the games I could have chosen for the top 10, I think this had the most interesting song list. Definitely, yeah, Departure, because I had been used to the Japanese games for so long that when I finally got the US mix, it was very fresh. And as you know, it is the most recent DDR release, so I mean, that kind of sucks, but what are you doing, Konami? They even had a, I think it was a mobile release, or they were test playing that in, well, at one of the game shows I went to, and I'm like, yeah, it's fun, but it's a mobile game, and what are you going to do, play on this tiny screen and attach it to a giant dance pad? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But yeah, DDR2, like I said, pretty good song list, hella fun. And the last day of DDR, I closed it out. I full comboed because they changed it. If you hit a good, it still counts towards the combo. So on any other game, I would not have done that. But I full comboed the entire day. I think it was 14 or 16 songs, including a 7-foot on the new scale, 1 to 20. But yeah, so I full combo the entire freaking day. So, best DDR game in ages. Good song list. Full combo. I'm giving Dance Dance Revolution 2 my number 9 game of the year. So if you have a Wii and you're a DDR fan, check that out. And watch those pads, because I think that glue is also starting to come undone. So, God, I don't know. Anyway, it's hard being a DDR player DDR console player in 2023, let me tell you. Moving on to number 8. This is not represented by anything. I could actually show my phone, show the website maybe, but game night we started playing Jackbox Games 10. Jackbox 10 was released this year. They updated TKO, so I even forgot how they updated it. Oh no, well, a few of the things. You can now make tank tops and hoodies in addition to the t-shirts. And instead of the gauntlet winner, they just go head to head with the shirts. And I think at the end, 2 shirts vie for the title, as opposed to the streak winners and the gauntlet winner. Like, sort of 4 shirts got to match up in the original version. But that's cool. And then there's other stuff. But there's so many games. One of them is a total dud. It's, now the brain game is okay. You get 3 options, or 3 categories, one of which is a dud. And you vote for the outlier, and the outlier is pretty freaking obvious half the time. But we had classic monsters and movie monsters and Pokemon. I was the only Pokemon, so I got singled out there. And that sucks, because everybody gets points for figuring out who the singled out person was. But if it's unanimous, and if I already knew that, I get Jack. So, screw you, game. But anyway, the game's fun, playing with friends. Jackbox 10 gets my number 8 game of the year. Boom. Now, moving on to number 7. And I know I gave this game a lot of shit, but I cannot deny that Final Fantasy VII Remake is a quality game, and it gets my number 7 game of the year. Even a couple times after posting that video, I watched it again, and I can find no faults with my critique. They tried to have their cake and eat it too. They should have just had the action RPG system or the old school ATB system, which worked better than the sort of hybrid one that is annoying. But we got the platinum. Again, graphically, it's anything you could have ever wanted in the game. Story-wise, they changed way too much. It was disgusting. And you can see me complain about that on some of the streams that are still up. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII game. Again, I prefer the original. It may look pretty, but all the glitters is not gold. Of course, there are people that prefer this. More modern gamers and, you know, prefer graphics. But I would rather have substance and a complete game for the original price on 3 discs than, I guess, Rebirth is next. And then there's going to be a final disc. So 3 entire AAA games that you have to pay full price for. One on PS4, one on PS5. Of course, they also had the DLC for Integrate or whatever with Yuffie, which I'll never buy unless I buy a complete set of all 3 games. And hopefully that's cheaper than buying them individually. But yeah, not going to buy Rebirth. Still, I do say play it if you played the original, just so you can understand the differences and where I'm coming from and why the narrative changes make the game really bad, in my personal opinion. But like I said, gameplay, graphics, they're good. The music, of course, is good. Yeah, it's just the narrative that screwed everything over. Still, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it's a remake, again, not a completely original game, but this gets my number 7 game of the year. Not terrible. And then this may come as a surprise and a controversial pick, but despite all of the negative reviews and the controls, Star Fox Zero, and I didn't want to take it out of the cardboard box here, but Star Fox Zero gets my number 6 game of the year. Now, I tend to agree with the completionist on this. The people that were giving this bad reviews did not spend a quality amount of time with the game to understand what the game was trying to do. And honestly, you can do it well enough without looking at both screens. Just holding this and shooting and looking at the main screen, you can do it well enough to pretty much beat most parts of the game. There's some specific areas that you need to target that you actually have to look down at the Wii U pad for. But the graphics were fantastic. It is sad that this was the most recent Star Fox game, and that Nintendo put all their eggs in the basket towards this being the game that would finally get the Wii U out the door and start pushing and selling systems. But, I mean, the game is fantastic. You've got the R-Wing, you got the Walker, I think there was a couple of tank sections too. So all the standard Star Fox stuff. It is the same narrative as Star Fox and Star Fox 64, basically. So that was a bit of a letdown, but again, gameplay and graphics and Star Fox, this was fantastic. I'm so glad this was part of 31 Days back in March. And this gets my number 6 game of the year, Star Fox Zero. Check it out. Don't mind what the reviews say. And next, represented by the PS5 DualSense controller, is the number 5 game of the year. Number 5. Astro's Playroom for the PlayStation 5. Now, this is how you do a tech demo. It's free, and that doesn't have much to do with anything, but if you compare it to Nintendo's Switch tech demo, 1-2 shit, which you had to pay full price for a retail version of, Astro's Playroom Playroom wins hands down. There's a couple of games that have similar names, so especially Astro's Playroom. No. Eh? Whatever it's called on the PS4, it has almost the same name as the PS5. So, but it's a great way to introduce the haptic feedback of the controllers. The different stages are cool. I think there's the jungle one where you can swing on the bar, let go, and then jumps. You also do rock climbing as you hold the buttons up and twist the controller. And I just noticed there is absolutely no feedback right now because the controller's off. So this is a fantastic piece of equipment here. But yeah, the game is cute. The game is fun. It's a great run through PlayStation nostalgia. As you collect the systems, you collect some peripherals. Discusses a few of the most important games there. But you know, the game is fantastic. If you have a PS5, you should definitely play it. If you do and you haven't, I don't know what's wrong with you, because like I said, it's free. It tests out the controller, teaches you how to play it. The leaning and the screw, that was another one. And I think there was some hang gliding segments and whatnot. There was some touchpad stuff. But yeah, fantastic piece of tech. Fun game, not too difficult to get 100%. There were a few annoying puzzle pieces to find and a few MacGuffins, but overall, can't complain too much at all. So again, represented by the PS5 DualSense, Astro's Playroom is my number 5 game of the year for 2023. Great stuff. Next up, and I might get some crap for not having finished this and putting it as high as I have, but I said back in May that Metroid Prime 3 Corruption was had some of the best motion controls of any game I'd ever played. And of course, games that are dedicated motion controls like Wii Sports or stuff like that are going to function normally. But this is an actual action adventure game with fantastic motion controls. It blew me away. The graphics are good, especially since it's on the Wii, right? This was 2007, I believe. Maybe 2009, one of the two. But I was playing it with the Wii Motion Plus, and I think it was designed for the Wii Motion because it almost seems like it's too sensitive. Not that that's a complaint. That's also kind of player input error, but scanning's kind of a pain. But the bosses are fantastic. Like I said, I didn't even finish the first of the 3 main worlds because there's the intro section, and of course, you know, if it's even a spoiler alert, because he's in almost every game. Thankfully not Dread. But the Ridley fight was fantastic and very tense. I almost thought I was going to die and missed that. But we made it. And yeah, I almost cleared the first of the next 3 sections, but not quite. I think it's kind of open-ended where you can go to different places, but you know, I don't even have all of the upgrades yet, so it follows the Metroid formula to a T. It's fantastic. It's I'm thinking that with Metroid Prime HD Remaster, there've been talk of Prime 2 and Prime 3 for the longest time. So hopefully I can beat this in 2024 before they release any HD versions. But if they do, I'll hopefully pick those up. And if they do another Metroid Prime trilogy, and which is what we kind of wanted in the first place and maybe deserved and should have gotten. But yeah, anyway, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, because of, not despite its motion controls, because of its motion controls, is a fantastic game. And it gets my number 4 game of the year for 2023. Yeah. Okay, now number 3, another fantastic game that I've been playing since June, but had one too many MacGuffins and 180 of the same repetitive mini missions or quests or whatever, is why I can only give Marvel Spider-Man for the PS4 my number 3 game of the year. Again, this is everything you would want in a superhero game. It might even be better than Arkham Asylum, which made the top 10 last year. But this is possibly the perfect Spider-Man game. Web slinging is awesome. The gadgets are awesome. But like I said, you've got 9 districts in Manhattan, and you've got 20 crimes in each by the end of the game to get the 100%. And all of the crimes, well, I don't know about all of the crimes, but most of the crimes seem to be repeated throughout each of the districts. So you got the 5 thug crimes, you got the 5 escape convict crimes, I think. You got the 5 demon crimes, and the 5 sable crimes. So, again, that's a little repetitive. There's a ton of backpacks, like 50 backpacks and other MacGuffins to find. But the side quests are fantastic. The story is fantastic. The graphics are fantastic. And even the DLC, and I'm not known for being a fan of DLC, but the story is fantastic. They did add some more crimes, so that's kind of annoying, but not to the degree of the main game. And those are also interesting side quests. Hopefully we'll be cleaning that up soon enough. And then going through maybe next year on ultimate difficulty for the 100%. But we'll see. Anyway, Spider-Man is a great game. If you have a PS4 or a PS5, you should definitely pick it up. It is my number 3 game of the year, and not too much bad I can say about it. Not too much more good I can say about it that hasn't been said. It's awesome. I don't know if it's worth all the hype. It's worth maybe about 95% of the hype that it's received. But fantastic game. My number 3 game of the year. Marvel Spider-Man for the PS4. And there's even a tribute to Stan Lee at the end of at least the 3rd DLC, if not the main game. So, yeah, great stuff. But it could not be higher than this game. This game blew me away in March when I went to the arcade and was training for 31 days of this DDR, represented here by Extreme and Ultra Mix 3, like we said, our retro game of the year and 1.5. But Dance Dance Revolution A3 was fantastic. It does have its issues. I think only licensed arcades such as Dave & Buster's in the States. I could have read that wrong, but and I know it's at Taito Game Station here, Game Panic in Shinjuku, but it's connected to the internet, so only registered stores or arcades can have it, which that kind of sucks. But I mean, the song list, what I've encountered so far, and I do need to play it more again to determine if it's the number 1 game of all time or what. But yeah, the song list was fantastic. It's in a gold cabinet, which apparently it's been that way since the 20th anniversary. But yeah, the gold cab is just beautiful. You know, party rockers in the house tonight. It was awesome playing DDR for 31 days. And yeah, again, time will tell if it's my all-time favorite DDR. But for 2023, Dance Dance Revolution A3, and it's so beginner friendly, and it's so challenging for hardcore veterans. So it has to be my number 2 game of the year. Keep dancing if you get the chance. But DDR A3, Dance Dance Revolution A3, or ACE3 I suppose it's called, is my number 2 game of the year for 2023. Which just leaves one more, and hopefully if you've been watching the channel you know what it is. I'll do the drum roll and give it a few seconds here. Oh no, 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 no. We have one more honorable mention. I'm sorry, I forget. We have an honorable mention before we get to number 1. The honorable mention is Metroid Prime Remastered for the Nintendo Switch here. I did a review of the controls way back when. The game is fantastic. It still plays like a dream. It looks beautiful, although I thought the original looked better. Not better. Looked beautiful back then. It just looks gorgeous now. And this is not part of my top 10, and that brings up the debate. as to whether remakes and remasters even belong in, or retro compilations for that matter, do they even belong in the top 10? And I would say no. Remake here, Final Fantasy VII Remake, is enough of a different game that I can justify putting it in this year's top 10. But Metroid Prime Remastered is not enough of a change or an upgrade to justify being in the top 10. And nor can I justify it being in the top 15 retro games video because I played it on the Switch. So where exactly do I put this? And the answer is honorable mentions here. If I were allowing this in the video, it would be my number 2 game of the year. But I can't do that. And I don't think games that are remakes or remasters or retro collections should be justified in a top 10 video. So Metroid Prime Remastered gets my honorable mention and would have been number 2 game of the year. Now, drum roll, my number 1 game of the year. And again, if you've been watching the channel, you should know. But back, well, actually Christmas last year, but back in January, which is the bulk of my playthrough, I played this fantastic game, God of War Ragnarok. I mean, it's not a perfect game. There are a few WTF moments, like, I think the first time I played Atreus, it was okay, but at that time, I'm playing God of War. I'm not playing God of Mischief. So I didn't want to do the Atreus section, but I was forced into it. And then comes the second Atreus section, which is so long. They should have trimmed that or split that up or something. Because the second section, I would like to say it took 4 hours alone. So that was way overdone. I mean, it was important to the narrative, but probably not to the degree that they made it so. But yeah, at those 2 times, it's just like, okay, when am I getting back to Kratos? Because I paid to play as Kratos. And the later sections I thought were more interesting, and they weren't as long, and they fit the narrative even better, so I didn't mind those. But especially the second Atreus section, it's like, what are you doing? But still, the game is fantastic, the combat is fantastic, the graphics are fantastic, the use of the DualSense is fantastic. I cannot, I don't think I can heap enough praise on this game. And I am very glad that I did not play it in time to make last year's Game of the Years, because Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Kirby Discovery, completely deserved to win Game of the Year. And since I didn't play this until this year, this completely deserves to win Game of the Year too. So I sort of got my cake and ate it too, because God of War Ragnarok is my 2023 Game of the Year. And honestly, I don't see what came out this year that I could rank ahead of it. I mean, I'm going to pick up Baldur's Gate and play it. I'm going to pick up Mario Wonder and play it. Zelda's sitting on the shelf. Freudian slip perhaps there. But I don't think any game released in 2023 would be as good as God of War Ragnarok. And they even announced DLC for the game, which is free, which is almost unheard of these days. So I look forward to streaming that in the new year. Sort of an interim between that and Final Fantasy February, and then whenever we finish that game. But God of War Ragnarok, and I probably figured it would be, but I waited all year to say it. And finally the time has come. God of War Ragnarok is my 2023 Game of the Year. It's completely worth a play on PS4 or PS5 or however you want to do it. I think it's on, or if not, it's not, it will be on PC soon enough. God of War Ragnarok, your 2023 Game of the Year. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next year with some more, hopefully, great videos. But until then, keep playing God of War Ragnarok and keep dancing. Thanks for watching.